what will Kanye's Volume 2 and 3 for Vultures be like? Because there's a couple of different options, 5 that I and y'all thought of that we're going to go over today that these second and third volumes could actually be. So let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. Real quick, if you don't want to listen to this, make sure to skip 10 seconds into the future, but you can now sign up for my free newsletter with the first link in the description. It comes every Sunday and it recaps everything that's been happening in hip-hop over the past week, so make sure to do that. So Kanye just gave us the trailer for his new album Vultures, and with it we also got the info that this album is going to have 3 volumes, the first of which dropping on February 9th, so only a couple of weeks in the future, 2 to be exact, and then we have a second and third volume in March and April, so always a month apart. And there's obviously the question, and I asked y'all this in the Discord as well. If you're not a part of the Discord, make sure to go join it. Best hip-hop community on this planet. What y'all think that these 2 second and third more volumes could actually be? Because we know that there's a first one with 18 tracks like we see on Apple Music, but what are the other ones going to be like? So I thought of 5 options. I collected these 5 options that we're going to go through and talk about what this could actually be. So option number 1 is that it's going to be 3 whole full albums. So we're going to be getting a volume 1 with the 18 tracks with the volume 1 cover art in February, and in March we're going to have another 18 tracks, maybe around that, and then in April another around those 18-ish tracks. So 3 entire albums, which of course the arguments against this would be that's a lot of material. That is like 54 songs, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're assuming 18 per album, but you know, around that. But then you gotta think he didn't even have the first one finished to have it played in Miami and Las Vegas at the listening parties. So if he doesn't even have the first 18 tracks finished, this is going to mean a whole lot of mess when it comes to the rollout of these other volumes, which obviously would not be good. So I believe that this would lead to even further complications and pushbacks in the album's releases, which I don't think would be too good for the fans. Also, another argument against this is that why would you use the same cover art for all 3 of the volumes? Well, in different color gradients, but the second and third volumes are just variations of the first one, just with different colors, with different filters on it. So if you have 3 different distinct albums, why not use different cover arts for them? Because this just seems like Deluxes or whatever, which is obviously an option that is very obvious. We're not going to talk about that, but could be Deluxes, but usually you don't announce it like that. The second option that I find most promising and that I hope is going to end up happening, but I honestly doubt a little bit, is that these are 3 EPs or 3 6-7 track albums. Maybe this reminds you, if you've been following Kanye for a couple of years, of his 2018 run where he dropped Ye and Kids See Goes, the Tiana Taylor album, the Nas album, the Pusha T album, and he's worked on all of those, and all of those were shorter albums. But if you got one every week, that really is enough, and that really has that momentum going into the next week. So if this is actually the case, there's one big thing against this, which is that why did we get 18 tracks under the first cover art in Apple Music? Because if you go to Apple Music, it says Vultures Volume 1, or at least cover art Volume 1, and then the 18 tracks we know, which is an argument against this, and likely the first album will have those 18 tracks. If that's the track list it's listed under. So that's an argument against it. There could also be some crazy way of only releasing 6 tracks every week, and so only like after 3 months you have the whole track list, you know, kind of unlocked in a way. That would be cool, but that's just a theory. I want this to happen. This would be my favorite option out of all of these, but I doubt it. Now also there's still the option of different albums. So we always talked about this Ty Dolla $ign collab album, which is obviously Vultures, but then there were also talks of Kanye's solo record coming after the collab album, and these 3 albums could open up the possibility for that. What kind of speaks against this is that this whole Vultures thing was marketed as the collab album between the 2 of them, but maybe Volume 2 or Volume 3 will feature some solo Kanye on there, and Ty is only working on 1/3 of them, and then maybe another collaborator on 1 of them. Obviously just a theory, but that could include those hints or those leaks or those reports that there was a solo Kanye record. But honestly, there's nothing backing this up, so that's also just a theory. Now, the 4th option is kind of like the deluxe thing, but it could be remixes. It could be different versions of songs, and there is a strong argument for this, which is that he posted an alternative version of Vultures on his Instagram with a video, and we can hear that this is a different version from the Vultures single. This has different drums, it got a little bit of different vocals and different verses on there, so this is honestly a hint that, and a lot of people said this in the comments on that Instagram post as well, maybe this version ends up on another one of the volumes. And we have kind of maybe like on Donda, we had those parts 2 to a couple of the tracks where different features came in and we had different verses, and they were maybe a little bit extended versions of the songs. I honestly could see this happening, but that is only possible if there is like a volume 2, but 3 volumes is a lot. You can't have remixes of the remixes like that. That's no good. And so this would kind of go into the same way as a deluxe, where you just get bonus material. But as I said, 3 volumes is too much to do this. And honestly, you don't announce a deluxe before the album drops. You want the album as it is to drop on a date and have people talk about it, and not already think about what's coming on the deluxe. It's not really the way to do it. And the last option that I see no one really like is that we'll have chopped and screwed or slowed down versions of the tracks. A lot of artists do this, like maybe even a couple of years later, they release chopped and screwed versions of their albums with chopped and screwed versions of the songs on there. And it's really interesting to see a couple of those albums, but all in all, it's really no real value to the fans. I mean, if you like those songs in those versions, then that's very good for you to have the whole album. But honestly, there are remixes like chopped and screwed or slowed down or whatever you can do with songs on SoundCloud way before that thing drops. The cover arts kind of hint at that, because usually the cover arts then also change into a more psychedelic style, and the 2nd and 3rd cover do kind of go that way when you compare them to the first one, which was brighter and didn't have that grainy filter on there. So that is not a good sign when it comes to that, but I doubt that Kanye would announce those versions with different release dates. That's also the main argument against this being remixes or deluxes. So I think in the end, it'll kind of play out between the first 3 options. So either 3 entire Ty Dolla $ign and Kanye records, which would be a lot, which would be a logistic mess and hell for the fans to go through again. My favorite option would be the 3 EPs or 3 short albums, and we'll kind of have a journey over those 3 months and see how it develops. Or we'll have a Ty Dolla $ign collab album, a Ye solo record, and whatever comes next. Maybe a deluxe to one of them. But those are 5 options that I've seen most people talk about. Let me know which one you think is most likely. Do you think option number 1, whole albums, EPs, then different albums? Do you think remixes, chopped and screwed versions? All your thoughts on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and you'll take care.